call the meeting to order. Start with the pledge, please.
Hey, Charlie.
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
President Warner,
Yeah.
Secretary Treasurer Horowitz.
Here.
Trustee Pell.
Present.
Trustee Stafford.
Here.
Trustee Welker. Here. Sir, we have a quorum present today.
All right, thank you, Lisa. I'd like to waive the reading of the correspondence, being that we've all gotten copies to review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a couple discussion, we have one discussion item. Kevin McAllister of Defend H2O regarding Suffolk County 2019 vector control work plan for malathion application. Kevin, would you like to?
Yes,
forward?
there's methoprene application.
Methoprene, sorry.
Let me start by thanking you for the opportunity to address the board. I won't take up a lot of time, but now as we approach the new year, the proposed 2019 annual plan of work comes forward. And if you recall, subsequent to 2007, that's when the county completed a 2-year environmental impact study around their practices. What came from that study was the requirement for the annual plan of work to undergo review and approval. In mid-October, the Council on Environmental Quality had reviewed the proposed 19 work plan. There was some discussion and commentary, certainly on my part, at that meeting. With their approval, the plan will go before the Public Works Committee. I thought this was going to happen Friday. That was delayed. It was not on their agenda. So presumably within a couple weeks here. Depending on the action of the Public Works Committee, if they accept the annual plan of work, then it'll go before the full legislature for their approval. So once again, I am taking exception, objecting to the inclusion of methoprene as part of that plan of work. I know this board has been briefed on it. You've written letters in the past to Suffolk County registering boards' objections, concerns about methoprene. I'm here to ask you to do that once again. I will highlight some points over the course of time, and actually, if I may, I'll hand out this letter to the editor. This is a nice
Stamp that in, please.
nice summation of, I think, the issue at hand. Methoprene is a hormone mimicker, so it's applied over the salt marshes by helicopter generally. Ultimately, it interferes with the development of the larval stage mosquito into flying adults. It's broad spectrum in as far as non-target insects are at risk, as well as crustacea being arthropods. So the science is very clear on its impact or disruption to development of the mosquito larvae. So, these other species are at risk.
Like the honeybees.
And bees as well. Been trying to find information on that, certainly the beekeepers, and there are some papers that...
There's a big thing about that now.
Yes, it speaks to the
bees.
implications of, particularly with methoprene being drift, being basically taken to the hive in water, ultimately, and I'm not a beekeeper, so I know all the...
There was a thing on TV the other night about it.
Very good, I appreciate you bringing that forward.
There's noise at the helicopter office, too.
Yeah. So the studies are clear. I've informed this board, I've provided you with the legislation from Connecticut in 2013. They banned methoprene in their entire coastal zone. The one exception is if there is a documented death of West Nile and the population in that area exceeds 100,000 people, then they will lift the restriction. New York City in 2001 included it in their EIS to keep it out of Jamaica Bay. Rhode Island has restrictions, and more recently, I found that U.S. Fish and Wildlife Foundation, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, in one of their refuges out in Oregon, restricted methoprene use. They terminated its use in favor of BTI. So there is a biological agent, a larvicide, that is currently used by the county. Their argument is that it does not basically suppress breeding at the later larval stages, thus the need to use methoprene. There's been a lot of discussion, particularly out of East Hampton, that a monitoring program out in Accabonac is actually reducing mosquito or methoprene applications. I'm here to tell you, when you consider it as a whole, that's just not the case. The 2019 work plan, which reports on 2018 activities, so this past summer, from 2017 to 2018, Suffolk County increased their spraying from 15,000 acres to 20,000 acres. So they've actually ramped up methoprene use 33% in tidal wetlands. So any reduction based on targeting in Accabonac, meaning they're testing and counting larval. So if the numbers reach such levels, then the county has sprayed. And they have sprayed Accabonac, so this isn't a case of any stoppage. So, it's problematic. To put it in perspective, I understand, and this board certainly well knows that there's a lot of pressure on water quality from a lot of different reasons, from suburbanization of our region to other influences and things out of our control with climate change, for instance. But I will tell you, this is one insult to water that needs to be recognized, and I ask that the board once again register concern, opposition to the methoprene use to Suffolk County, and specifically if a letter can be drafted that would go to Suffolk County Executive Steve Ballone, the presiding officer, Dwayne Gregory, and through Mr. Gregory's office, asks for it to be fully distributed to the other legislators.
Yeah, I believe last year we had drafted a letter, and the previous year before that we had drafted a letter. Correct, Lisa?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
I don't recall the content of that letter. Scott, I know a year or two ago you had a number of questions for me to the extent that the letter is very clear about opposing its continued use.
I think it was specifically referenced Connecticut State and what they had done over there as far as the tidal wetlands and the use of methoprene. It was pretty much straightforward, that article that you had sent us, that it was not good, and knowing the history of the lobster industry in Long Island Sound and the extensive lobster die-off, and being that related to the management of mosquitoes that the county has taken, it's not something that, as a fisherman myself, I would ever encourage. I would encourage a different the BTI practice over the broadcasting of the sprays over the open marshlands. Could you possibly get us that information again? I don't know if we have it in our office. And do we have that letter from Kevin?
I believe we have it from
Because I would
last year.
have you read this, Ann, any of the information that Kevin has furnished us in the past about mosquito spraying and the larvicides and everything?
Only the recent,
Only-
a couple recent letters,
Yeah.
not anything.
Yeah, that's probably, I know I share any communications that I put out there for the public, and probably doesn't have the background information that I cite with some of the studies, and I can do that.
I'd like to have it back in our office so we can put it on our website for, the public education also. I think it's important that the public realizes that what's being done on our lands and their lands has a direct effect on their well-being. I mean, we all understand that there's West Nile virus and, there's issues with mosquitoes, but the remedy of it is sometimes worse than the cause.
Well, we did a bunch of research, and in addition, we invited vector control in to our
Yes, we
office
did.
here. And we had about.
I remember that meeting,
Okay?
yes.
We left with more questions than answers, I think, at the end of that, because, we knew about the situation that occurred in Connecticut, of how they situated the laws there about having a death in a certain amount of population and so forth. And we've also spoken to many commercial fishermen that have correlated a lot of problems with deaths that they notice of crabs and shellfish after there has been a spray. So I know we did boil this around quite a
Yes.
bit, and you should get up to speed on it, and we should definitely supply another letter to protect our wetlands and our...
I'll share this. I've been reaching out. I've been trying to schedule a meeting with Mr. Ballone for a couple weeks now, and I'll continue to pursue that. In my own mind, I've reached a bit of a compromise. If in fact public health is truly what's driving the continued use of methoprene, similar to Connecticut, I would submit that if there's documented incidents of West Nile, I don't mean people, the county does surveillance for mosquito pools. So if in fact they're identifying West Nile or even Eastern equine encephalitis, then perhaps accepting of a limited application of methoprene in a marsh in the vicinity to knock back disease if it in fact exists. But to your question, really what drives this is nuisance control. So, that's...
Well, historically, vector control has done land-based applications of it, whether it's by tankers or actually by backpacks going through the marshes, rather than an open broadcast from a helicopter, which would be much more confined into the, to the source, I think. Something like that
Yes.
would be more appropriate if they were going to use it.
Again, I would think that is a reasonable qualifier, but the broadcast spraying by helicopter over 20,000 acres, that's egregious when you consider, it's multiple times a year or summer. I don't know with certainty the number of, you see the notices that are
Yes.
generated, and systematically Southampton's marshes, there's 5 or 6 I think that are named. Ultimately they're treated with fairly frequent.
We do have extensive marsh systems in western Peconic Bay, and that's the headwater to all of Peconic and everything, the whole estuary. So once it ends up there, it's a trickle-down effect to the rest of the bays out east.
That was going to be my question. Where is it specifically in Southampton town that's sprayed?
We have a
list.
list. It's Iron Point, West Hampton Beach, the county parks.
Oaks, is it Pokes?
Pokes.
Remsenburg, there's
Spoke,
two or three
Pokes,
sites.
yep,
in
yep.
West
Remsen-
Neck,
West-
Scholar Pond.
Yes.
But even any of the properties around Sag Pond or the other one, you don't know what the private homeowner is spraying out there either.
Well, I mean, that's one of the issues that we have with the prolonged flooding of Sag and Mecox.
Right.
Now that we, drainage down there, that's another byproduct of flooding down there, is the mosquito larvae further and further up into the woods and inland where it historically wouldn't be. But as far as the letter, yes, I think,
Okay.
I'm
Good.
assuming the board's comfortable
I have
with
no problem.
drafting the letter and sending it
Definitely.
off
We
in
just do an
support of
updated
this.
letter from the last one.
Yes. If there's a-
I'll let Lisa know of the dates
Yep.
for Public Works, and then subsequently it
Yep.
would be the full ledge. But, I'll say within the next week or so, if that
Very good.
letter could get into the,
Yes.
I know we did boil it down pretty good last time when we wrote that letter.
yeah, it's,
And if there's any new information that we could add to the letter,
no, that's,
that would be
thank you.
greatly
I
helpful.
just think it's important that the board continue to voice its concern and opposition for its use, because, they clearly can do without, but
There-
we've got to keep working at it.
It's time for them to come up with better management practices.
Thank you.
Kevin.
Thanks,
Thank you very much.
everyone.
Thank you, Kevin.
The next topic of discussion, Lake Agawam permitting process. I'm going to table this into our work session. I need to have a conversation with another one of our attorneys about this. She had previously worked on it for the last couple of years. Nothing against Martha, but it's a complicated,
I understand.
and I would like to sit down with you and the other attorney to go over this, so.
I'll second it.
Table it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're going to schedule a public hearing for amend Article 4 sanctuaries in the town.
Oh, I think today is the public hearing.
Yeah, we're going to
I
open
mean,
a
it's
public
going to
hearing.
open the public hearing, sorry.
I'll second the motion to open a public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there anybody here that would like
I
to?
only have Mark to give an update what it's about.
You want me to read what it's about?
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure. So, I mean, it's a very long amendment, but the gist of the amendment is that we are adding 5 additional wildfowl sanctuaries throughout the town. So one of them is Shinnecock Bay, between the southerly end of Ponquak Bridge to Road K. And then Little Fresh Pond, Fairfield Pond, Fish Cove, and like a southeastern portion of Island Creek. We have a map. Let me go get it.
Bird resting areas.
Bird resting. It's very-
Bird resting areas.
It's very important to have the birds have a place to rest also during hunting season, plus a place where they feel safe.
All right, so we want to facilitate the resource of hunting, but we also want to facilitate sanctuaries so that birds can rest and have a safe haven too.
Yes, several of these areas historically have been resting areas for black duck, Ponquag, Bridge and Road K, Little Fresh, and Fish Cove are 3 areas that I know personally where I've seen large amounts of ducks there, and it'd be good for us to close them, make them sanctuaries so that the birds have a, place to rest and feed and be unmolested from anybody. So that's what we're doing in this process.
If anyone from the public wants to speak on it.
If there's anybody from the public that would like to have any input in this, they're more than welcome to come up here, sign in.
How many do we need? 4?
All right.
Put it up over there. No, you want to put it up over there?
Yeah.
I'll help
Actually,
you.
you're taller.
Yeah.
All right. So the proposed ones are in that maroon color. I'm gonna do this one.
Okay. I can fold it up.
Okay, there you go.
There you go, spots for the yellow.
Those are existing.
Yellow are existing,
Existing.
and maroon are the additional ones that are being added.
So we're adding three more.
Do we have that map up on our website?
No, not yet, but I can get it in PDF form from GIS.
I think it'd be a great thing, then the hunters, everybody's gonna be on the same page.
Yes.
Right, well, let's get through the public hearing first. So there's nobody from the public that wants to comment on it, so I guess we could probably,
I was waiting for you, Fran. We
you
got
can come
a,
up here if you want.
we got a 3-minute limit, too.
You can sit down and relax.
Francis Adam Chesky, just want to comment. Were the hunters notified about the waterfowl sanctuary by the Ponquag Bridge there? I know it's a good resting place for the black duck, but I also noticed there's a blind on that island on the end.
It's outside, the blinds that are there, we made sure that they were outside of the
Okay,
sanctuary.
I just wanted
The
to make it
sanctuary
clear
is-
that these guys know that this
Yes.
is all.
Well, this is the public hearing.
Okay.
And basically, it was never a bona fide sanctuary, but it would not be hunted because the few ducks that are there that are resting, once you shoot them, you wouldn't be able to shoot for probably the rest of the season.
Exactly.
And it's important for them to have a resting and a feeding spot,
So just to be clear, there are no duck blinds in any of the sanctuaries at this point?
At this point, none of these locations are actively hunted,
No, and there was none.
to my knowledge.
Ahead of time.
Okay. I just wanted to make that clear because actually, where I hunt down at Taylor Creek, I actually came in and we did a sanctuary in the back of the creek to make that a sanctuary for the
Yep.
birds too. So,
No, it's a smart thing to do, and it gives them
It
a
is a
chance
smart
to
thing to
rest
do.
and to
It's-
feed also, because,
Exactly.
you know, they are migratory.
Did we
water-
make it, or do you guys just did it on?
no,
No, it's
no,
a-
I came here and we actually did it. It was
With Trustee
just,
Haviland.
yes,
So it should be listed as yellow on there.
yeah, it should be yellow
Yep.
in the back creek,
Yeah,
by Poison Lane.
Yep, I believe all of them have
It's in
been,
the,
Yeah.
It's in the
Yep.
book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
so you're for it, it's a good idea.
oh, totally for it. I came in and actually
Thank you.
advocated for
Thank you.
to do that, even though I hunt right there, but it's good to have. It's good to have restings.
It is.
Is there anyone else you know of that wants to speak about it or is going to write about it?
About,
Keeping the public, do we need to keep the public hearing open?
I wouldn't think so. I'd close it. I just wanted to make sure
We should
that, you know,
close it,
that
vote on it
that you guys knew there was, well, I'm sure you got, Ed, you know that there's duck blinds on that little island, just kind of.
Yep.
Red kind of.
I know who they are.
Yep,
and
I know who they are,
we
too.
made
Just-
We made sure that everything is outside of it in
Okay,
these
I just,
areas.
that's.
Yep.
It's been vetted.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've had
yes.
multiple discussions with the Bay Constables, the hunters,
It's also
trustees
good. It's
and-
good for them to.
yeah, and everybody's under the agreement, the areas that are proposed and are good areas.
We could close it with a couple of week comment period.
No, we could actually, should close it and vote on it before hunting season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it
Everybody's-
came from the hunters
Everybody
to
wants,
us.
anybody that's a hunter would want a spot like
Yes.
that.
We have a notice of adoption on the agenda, but we can always do, it's whatever you guys want to do.
Well, it's,
I would like to make a motion, close it and vote on it.
We could do that, too.
I will second that.
Yeah, we could close it.
I think it's
I would-
it's a win-win situation from
That's fine.
from all
I'll make
Nobody's
a-
here to say anything else. I mean, you
We
know,
got
that's the
support.
thing. People wanted
We got
to
support.
say something, they'd come and.
And it makes common sense.
Yep.
It makes
Totally.
common sense.
Totally.
Okay?
So,
Thank you.
Thank
I'll
you.
make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
And take a vote on it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for taking the time to come and speak.
Trustee Peel would like a roll call vote on this
Yes.
resolution?
President Warner.
Yes.
Secretary Treasurer Horowitz.
Yes.
Trustee Pell.
Yes,
Trustee Stafford.
Yes.
Trustee Welker.
Yes.
We have a unanimous vote.
Thank you.
thank you. Thanks for doing it, everyone. Thank you.
Good. Next order of business.
Next order of business, we have the public portion. Is there anybody that would like to address this board before we move into the permit part? You can come forward and sign your name, and if not, we're going to move forward to the application.
Public portions.
I'm here for on the duck blind issue in Davis Creek. Is that a separate thing?
Yes.
Yes, separate.
It's coming up. All right. Applications for permits then. We're going to start with 2018 270. I have a resolution, waterfowl hunting locations, applications for late renewals, transfers, addition, and removals of permittees and co-permittees. Should we read the whole entire thing, or should we just read what I had just read?
I don't think you need to read the whole
I
thing.
don't think you need
It's
to
included in the
read the
resolution.
whole thing. We vetted all of them during work session.
Okay, well, I recommend its approval.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I have trustee resolution 2018-271, Finmar Builders, 23 Tarpon Road, East Quogue, New York. Tax map 0900-362-4-12. It's located in Shinnecock Shores. It is a bulkhead replacement. It is 100% compliant with all Blue Book regulations. I recommend its approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have trustee resolution 2018-272. It's for a waterfowl hunting location application of a William E. Miller Jr. in Red Creek Pond in Hampton Bays. This is a new waterfowl location that was found and requested by William E. Miller Jr. It was fully vetted by the Bay Constables and meets all safety and regulation qualifications under the Blue Book, and I recommend its approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2018-273, renew application first, it's a first renewal of permit number BLK 00099 Theme Realty LLC at 5 Edgemere Drive, Southampton, New York. Tax map number 0900-42-2-20.1. I recommend this approval.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2018-274, application for Eric Stark, 34 Lands and Lane, Southampton, New York, tax map number 0900-155-02-04, body of water, Cold Spring Inlet. I recommend this approval.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2018-275, application of Southampton Cove Owner Association, 1 Helen Lane, North Sea, tax map number 0900-61-173, body of water, Fish Cove. I recommend this approval.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Dash 276, application Judith Mary Musser, 12 Land's End Lane, Southampton, tax map number 0900-155-2-7, body of water, Cold Spring. I recommend this approval.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2018, waterfowl hunting location, determine the appeal of William Robinson challenge renova of waterfowl location permit.
Is there anybody here that would like to address the board? Would you please come forward, state your name? You can sit, you can sit at the table.
We're friendly up here today.
Nika Strunk, 37 Windmill Lane, Southampton, New York. And I'm here on behalf of the Cedar Crest Association, which is a informal association of property owners in the Cedar Crest area. I'm just going to write my name down before I forget. So the people that I'm representing include John and Susie Redpath, who live at 11 Cedar Crest, Sini Baldwin, who lives at 45 Cedar Crest, Phyllis Toohey at 47 Cedar Crest, Karen and Jeff Hughes at 49 and 51 Cedar Crest, Peter Halleck and Craig Mowry, 60 Hidden Cove, Kathleen King and Zvi Friedman, 27 Cedar Crest, Marshy Turn LLC, which I believe is owned by Davis, Halleck, and Mowry, and that's at 62 Hidden Cove Road, and Tim and Susan Davis at 65 Hidden Cove Road. So I was just retained literally over the weekend to address what I understand is, I've looked at a couple of videos of prior discussions about adding a second duck blind to the Davis Creek area, and all of my clients are deeply opposed to this for reasons of safety. And so I've had a very little time to get familiar with the issues, but to the extent that I have reviewed Environmental Conservation Law, Section 11-0931, which provides that, among many other things, that no person shall discharge a firearm, crossbow, or longbow in such a way as will result in the load, bolt, or arrow thereof passing over a public highway or any part thereof, and discharge a firearm within 500 feet from a dwelling house. I've also reviewed the Trustee's Blue Book regulations, which seem to, and I'm not completely clear as to whether these are to be floating duck blinds on water, or
The floating duck blinds.
they're floating duck blinds, okay. As to duck blinds, your regulations provide that they be a minimum of 500 feet from any adjacent blind in the direction of firing lines. However, duck blinds will not necessarily be allowed every 500 feet in every body of water in the town. Traditional distances between blinds in any given body of water will be maintained as much as possible. That's a somewhat that's a fairly flexible regulation. My clients, actually, I'm gonna submit this. This is
Well, I
something that
believe
was-
this should have been done through the public hearing process
Yeah.
that we had held prior to this.
I thought there was a public hearing today.
No, this is the adoption of the determination.
And you don't want to hear my client's point of view today?
We can hear it, but I mean, you should have given it to us during the public hearing part.
Okay, well, I was not retained at that time.
No, I'm just saying
I don't know
that's-
when did that take place?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, the hearing was closed.
The public hearing on this was closed?
Yes.
And what is the action that's going to be taken?
We're going to vote on the, allowing Mr. Robinson, we're repealing the revocation of Mr. Robinson's hunting location. That's what
So you're giving him back his hunting
the
location?
resolution is the determination of the appeal of William Robinson challenging the revocation of waterfowl hunting location permit number 204, 15 NS 01.
Okay. Will you allow me just a couple more minutes to?
You might want to talk on the second one for, when we talk about the second blind.
Oh, this is not the second duck blind?
No, this is the original duck blind.
This is the duck blind that was
Existing.
located in Davis Creek for 30-plus years.
Oh, okay. No, that's
That's
a
right,
different
we
issue.
misunderstood.
It's
Yeah.
the same resolution that's dealing with.
Oh, both?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's the remedy.
So there is going to be, so shall I just finish what I have to say about the second duck blind?
We have to ask our attorney what she says. We're pushing the buck.
In terms of whether or not it's part of the public hearing record, we all know that this isn't part of the public hearing record.
Correct.
You know, given that this did have a public hearing and it's generated several articles in the press, you know, it's really up to the trustees whether or not they want to continue listening to Ms. Strunk, but, I mean, we do have the resolution on the agenda. So again, it's one of those things where, you know, her clients may want to pursue other remedies with respect to, you know, the second blind, but the resolution itself is on the agenda and the trustees.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what she has to say in the public portion of it, but not with this. If it's up to the, you know,
I mean, we've brought her to the table, so
Yeah,
she's already here.
yeah.
I don't have too much more to go through. I mean, I'd like to just, I mean, to the extent that you'll take it, I was provided by my clients a list of names of people who are opposed to a second duck blind on
Okay.
Davis Creek. Who should I give this to?
Hand it to
We'll
her.
stamp it in.
Thank you.
You have the letter with it, too?
I don't have a letter with it, no. And then just as I was preparing this morning to come and talk to you, I did also print this. How many are you? 5.
Need 6.
1, 2, I mean, obviously, you're all very familiar
Get us
Yes.
stamped out.
with the area, but these,
The second blind is more than 500 feet away from the
where's
houses.
the second blind going to be located? Can you tell me on this? I mean,
Do you have the original blind location?
I think you can see it on that photograph.
Yeah. It's- That's Mr. Robinson's blind,
Yeah,
and the
the new one.
proposed blind is about 750 feet north of the,
Here's a blind.
of Mr. Robinson's blind. It's well over 500 feet from,
And also 500, more than 500 feet.
it's almost, it's
Ed
almost,
put a X there.
Okay.
it's almost 600 feet from the nearest home.
And to our knowledge, these spots all meet with all the guidelines for the environmental conservation law, as well as the trustees' blue book in terms of, you know,
And
safety
And the second one
fairways.
is on the property owner's property.
So it's on land, or it's on water?
It's on the water.
Okay, but it's water owned by by Mr.
It's right
Becker?
in front of his property on the water.
Bottomland's owned by the trustee, but within the boundaries of
Of his ownership.
Yes.
the way it's marked out.
Maybe we don't know who owns that.
There's a piece of property that Mr. Becker's family owns. It's marshland, and there are properties on the east and west of it that are owned by the town of Southampton,
I understand.
and then the trustees own the underwater bottomlands.
Okay. I mean, it looks like it, and actually, I didn't do that. If you look at the, Davis has two houses. The northerly one, I wasn't aware of the location of the second blind. It looks to me like it might be within 500 feet of the northerly Davis house. Have you calculated that?
We had asked the Bay Constables to do all the calculations, and the site that was proposed by the Bay Constables was a safe distance from the houses, and would be a safe distance from Mr. Robinson's blind.
Right. And to my knowledge, every issue that was raised relative to this location has been investigated and vetted by the town police department, the town Bay Constables, and the Department of Environmental Conservation officers as well.
Now, if this second duck blind is on Mr. Becker's land, or within the boundaries of his land, will it be something that will ever be offered to the public, or any other, or non-owner of that property?
Well, right now, Mr. Becker, because of the homeowner preference, he was allowed to establish a duck hunting spot in this area. If he so chooses to give it up, then it will go into a pool of blinds that we have a waiting list of almost 80 or 90 people on. So one of those 90 people would get, in the order that they're on there, would get a chance for this blind. Basically, Mr. Becker has found another hunting spot in Davis Creek, so there will be two permitted hunting spots within Davis Creek.
But if it's on his own property, then why would it ever be offered to anyone else? That I don't understand. I mean, that could be, a concern for my
Because-
clients.
The right next to his property is the trustee's underwater lands. Being that we have abolished the homeowner preference, that property that Mr. Becker has is his, but the property that we own and trust for everybody, you would be allowed to place a blind on it, an anchored blind on the underwater lands, not on Mr. Becker's property per se.
And when you go there, you have to go by boat. You can't cross his property.
Right.
You'll be trespassing.
I mean, I can tell you, I spoke to several of my clients this morning. They're concerned about a lot of kayaking. It's a very popular area for kayaking. They're also avid kayakers. And there's really a concern for safety and a feeling among my clients that there has never been more than one duck blind in this area, and that there should not be more than one duck blind in this area. And that that safety issues are implicated here. And
From what perspective, if it meets all the guidelines of the Department of Environmental Conservation?
well, what if you're kayaking in Davis Creek?
That's a violation. That's like a hunter harassment violation, because generally speaking, at the times at which you have active blinds that people are hunting, you can't really go through those blinds and harass the hunters. They have laws that protect that resource as well and protect that
I
recreation as
understand
well.
that.
So we try and balance it out so everybody can use the bay, the hunters, the kayakers, and everybody can use it. So if you got some time these guys are hunting, then they're going to hunt. Other times these folks, there's a season on hunting. Generally speaking, the time at which these folks are duck hunting are really not great times to be out kayaking or canoeing or anything like that. So you try and balance out what everybody wants to do, utilizing the resources, and you take into consideration the safety aspect as well, because there are laws, and then there's our Blue Book regulation on regulating it. So all of this has been taken into consideration when, something gets to this point where there's a resolution made. If it wasn't safe, or if it wasn't approved by the Bay Constables, or if it was a clear violation of New York State environmental law, it wouldn't be to this stage of the game, after a public hearing has already been closed.
I don't understand how somebody kayaking in Davis Creek would be harassing a hunter. That doesn't make any sense
Well,
to me.
If you got,
You're actually
if
saying
you got
that?
stools set out, you're hunting in your blind. Hunting is a very short season. Kayaking, you got, April, May, June, July, August, September? I mean, these guys get maybe, if you're
Some people
lucky,
do it in the
60
winter.
days.
Pardon? Okay.
They're all local guys. They're not gonna shoot anybody. They're gonna identify what their target.
And you can't
So
do that through an
you
act.
got- It's a waterway. Everybody's gotta get a use of it. It's just not all about kayaking, but it's not all about the hunters. You know, we gotta come to a happy medium. This has been vented out through all of us, and the Bay Constables, DEC, and it's, maybe if you're lucky, you get like 45 days with the bad weather, and sometimes the pond's frozen over. You're not gonna go kayaking.
Yeah, it's a balance, you know, we take a look at the other uses of the bay. It's a very short season, and you can't, you know, if you see a blind that's being actively hunted, and you see the decoys are out there, and you can't go over there. You can't start harassing the folks that are hunting.
Like,
I don't think anybody's considering that.
in some areas where there's baymen who work in front of the blinds, they don't start until like 8:30 during hunting season, where they could actually start at sunrise, so the baymen and the hunters get along.
Okay.
And that's how it works
So
out.
the hunters finish by like 8:30? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they're usually done in, you know,
I mean, in most occasions when you're hunting an area like this, it's a very inclement day. It's probably a northwesterly or a northeasterly wind.
It's nasty.
You're not going to be out kayaking. There's usually 2 or 3 people on the water, a couple baymen and a couple hunters. So it's not like it's a summer day in August when it's 80 degrees and calm and you can go kayaking. It's, you know, hunting is, you pick and choose your days.
Will the blind be required to be removed after the season?
There's another whole process that was brought up by Trustee Welker making this area and other areas within the town a seasonal area for blinds so that we could ask the blind owners to have them removed. It's another process. We're going to go through a public hearing on that and get input from the hunters and the rest of the people in the town. So yes,
So that's going to be a separate public
yeah, we
hearing?
hope to
It's gonna be a separate public hearing.
start a.
It would require a Blue Book amendment.
Right,
Yes.
which is another public hearing.
Okay.
because there are several places in the town where we do have the blinds removed when they're not being actively used. Mecox is one of them.
Okay. Well, I mean, again, looking at this, I'm not completely convinced that this is over 500 feet from the Davis house. But, and in general, I'm just going to repeat my client's feelings, which is that this is, you know, there's never been more than one duck blind, that there should not be more than one duck blind. And they're concerned about their safety.
Right, and our information that we've been provided is that it does meet all the safety requirements for
Do
fish.
you have a map showing the exact location of these duck blinds?
No, part of our resolution is, we have on our GIS, you can see all of the duck blinds throughout the town of Southampton.
Oh, okay. Is it like a
And-
layer you can turn on?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And this will be added to that?
It will be added. Part
Any
of our
new-
resolution directs that precise GPS coordinates
Yes.
be put in for this one and assigned a new number.
This is a new resolution or existing?
No, this is the resolution that's
regulation?
before the board right now.
Okay, okay.
We're in the
One of
process
them-
of all the duck, it's gonna take us a little while to have all the duck blinds GPS within 15 or 20 feet, because sometimes they turn them.
Sure.
During the course of the weather.
Okay, so, and how, if my clients are concerned that there could be 3 or 4 more duck blinds added to this area, what would you have to say to them?
This is like topped out on 2.
I'm
There's
sorry?
no more room up there for 2.
If you move further up into Davis Creek towards Turtle Cove, it gets very narrow, and there's
Right.
no wetlands to hunt on. Moving it east, you're moving it over by Todd Point Road, where there are people driving. These 2 locations were
Got it.
chosen because they're the furthest away from populated areas, and they don't have any issue with people driving and such like that.
Okay. And just one more question. Why, if there was a new duck blind being created, and you said you had a waiting list of 3 people, why was that not, I mean, this was not open to the waiting list?
There was...
Is that because of Mr. Becker's
Mr.
homeowner's
Becker
preference?
had
Yes.
applied with the proper documentation, and we were already reviewing it. Mr. Christopherson, who was another person on the waiting list, had applied for the same location, but we had denied him for this location. So there were 2 applicants, because Mr. Becker was the homeowner, and he got the homeowner preference, he got the other spot.
Okay, all right, well, thank you for listening to
Yep.
my
Yep.
For comment.
client's
Everything that trustees get involved with is a delicate balancing act, it seems.
Okay.
Okay. Did you get a copy of the MECOC management
Yes,
plan?
I'm
Okay.
going through it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, and please circulate it to all the homeowners, so we can
Yes.
get a very good turnout for the...
That's on
public.
December 3rd, right?
Yes.
Yeah. No
Thank
problem.
Thank you. No. Should we just,
Can I come up?
There's more people want to speak on it.
if you would like to speak, we've already given Ms. Strunk a chance. Yes.
I'm Will Becker, 63 Hidden Cove Court. I have never applied for, first I'd like to see what you're talking about. I was listening to Ms. Strunk. You're talking about, I applied for a duck blind in front of Tim Davis's house. May I see it?
I'm sorry, what are you looking for? We don't have your file up here right now.
No, I thought there was you showed her an aerial, there was an aerial
Yeah, there was a-
photograph.
No, she passed out.
She passed out an aerial photograph of Davis Creek and all the property owners.
Well,
that-
I only heard about a second duck blind 2 Mondays ago. I hadn't heard about it since before, and I haven't heard about it since. Would someone tell me where it is?
on your property.
Excuse me, where?
The X right there? No. Over that way.
Second.
Right, I'm just gonna, I know where I live. This is my home. I've never heard of this before. This is the first time I'm hearing this at all. If you can see my house here, no one has ever visited my home in the 10 months that I've met you folks. And if you did, you would see the way the home is situated. It looks this direction. And where you proposed can't be seen from my home. From the center line, it's probably 350 feet east of me.
I don't understand what you're trying to get at.
I'm not trying to get at anything, I'm just
You're saying-
I've never seen this before, I've
I'm
never
letting
heard
you
of
talk,
it.
let me talk.
Excuse me.
You want to be able to see your duck blind from your window, or you want it on your property?
I didn't say anything about that.
You
All I know
said
is,
where your house is, you're pointing out, says, I can't see the duck blind.
no,
That's what you're telling me.
well, I didn't, the reason Mr. Pell, the reason I said that was
Your
that,
duck blind, you don't want to see, because if you can see
not what I
it,
said, sir.
then the ducks will see it.
It's not what I said, sir.
Okay? I misunderstood you, but that's
Okay,
what
okay.
that's
I'm
what's
gonna-
coming across.
Sir, when I first met you folks, in January, and you directed me to the Blue Book, and I read it, and you directed me to the 250-foot preference, and your offices told me what to do and how to do it, that's what I did. And when we submitted our application, August 1st, they asked us for two spots. And the first spot, if you drew a line out directly from my house into open water right here, that was one. And then they asked for a second, and then they said, how about where the existing blind is? And you have that in record in your office. And we got a letter back from you, and they said, no, they don't want me to have it straight out from my house. They want me to have the existing duck blind. That's why I bring it up, because now that you're talking about something here, it wasn't something that I submitted to you. I submitted to you as per their request, and then we have a letter back from you that circled the Mr. Robinson's old duck blind. And if you look directly from my house out to the right, it is probably 350 feet east of me, which is, I call it east, you might call it north. It is directly in front of Cedar Crest. I've never seen this before, I never heard of it before. So today, I just wanted to give you, these are, Ms. Strunk represents the Cedar Crest community. This is 25 freeholders on Davis Creek who are completely against the trustee's proposal to have a second duck blind installed on Davis Creek in North Sea. It has never been approved before, and there's no place being here now or in the future. 25 freeholders. because they never heard of, the only time they heard about this was at the last meeting, when they heard it on the videotape. That's the first time anybody heard of a second duck blind ever on Davis Creek. And no one called me. No one said, hey, let's go to your house, let's talk to you, let's take a look at what you submitted to us, what we approved, where we approved you to go, and then to say, hey, you know, because we thought that when we first submitted it to you guys in August 1st, we thought the best place to put it would be directly straight out in front of my house, which would be the furthest away from anybody over here, would be the furthest away from anybody over here. But your office has sent back a letter that circled the old duck blind that said, this is where the trustees want you to be. So this location over here in front of Ms. Strunk's clients is shocking to me. And when I go home and tell it to my family, who has been here for 70 years, they will be stunned. Secondly, I have a letter from my mom to the Board of Trustees of the freeholders and commonality of the town. This was submitted on November 14th, which was last Monday, and as she watched, it was on video, she watched that her letter was discarded because she was not on the deed. And Mr. Powell, I think that your question was, when she wrote this letter, you're right, you wrote, how close is this to Becker's land? Well, it is Becker's land, and if I may, my mother is 85 years old, and she's been here 75 years. And even though she may not be a freeholder because she doesn't live here, she's here 2 months of year and has been here her entire life. It's a very brief letter. Dear trustees, this law firm represents Nancy L. Fartelman, formerly Nancy Mills, with regard to the above referenced property located on the north side of Davis Creek, and including an ingress and egress right-of-way to Todd Point, an unopened road to Peconic Bay. This parcel has been owned and enjoyed by her family by more than 70 years. This is written by her law firm, Russell Percheri in Garden City. We understand that certain actions are being under consideration by the Board of Directors, Board of Trustees, which would result in the awarding of a duck blind permit and the placement of a duck blind immediately adjacent to the property. These actions would interfere with the use and enjoyment of that property and right-of-way and diminish its value to such an extent as to effectively constitute an unlawful inverse and or de facto condemnation and taking in violation of New York State eminent domain procedure law and the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution. We therefore admonish you to cease and desist and refrain from awarding such duck blind permit and from allowing such duck blind in that location. Please be guided accordingly. This is from my mother's lawyer. And when you read, I was listening to Martha when you were reading that day, she read the chain of title, Mills, Fartelman, Mills, Becker. That's my family. And so it has been our land. And there is years ago, this was North Sea Development. In the 40s, this was going to be filled in, and they were going to build houses. So my grandfather bought a piece so he would always have a view. And along with that comes the right-of-way to Todd Point Road. And this right-of-way, if you place a second duck blind in this location, this right-of-way is blocked. And that's why, and my, National Land Tenure there, my title company, they are submitting a letter to me that says, if a second duck blind is placed here, it is blocking our use and access to the beach, and that's something that they will never permit. So that's their permit, and I'll give you the letter on that.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
While you're going, addressing letters. We had a public hearing. We had a whole discussion about this at the last meeting, and I believe, maybe it was one of the council brought up a letter that was sent out to various different real estate agents throughout the entire town.
Which
Did
meeting?
you write a
Meeting on
letter?
Monday?
The prior meeting that we had.
I think it was
The
Monday.
public hearing,
Monday?
at the public hearing that we had,
Yes.
there was reference made to a letter, and I think it got read into the record
I
concerning.
remember that letter, sure.
You wrote the letter?
I wrote a letter to my attorney. The counsel from my firm is Farrell Fritz, John Racanelli. And when something is, he represents a lot of people out here. So I wrote John a letter, and I said, John, that the trustees are proposing a modification of the homeowner preference, and I wanted his opinion on it. I sent that to John.
Can I address your right-of-way across the underwater lands that the trustees
Sure,
own?
yeah.
You have no right of claim to that underwater land.
I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, but my grandfather would row his boat here, and he had a catwalk that went from here to the beach. so he would row his boat across, and that was his access to the beach, and that's been our access, and the posts are still there, which is really kind of neat.
So what does duck hunting and a duck blind have to do with interfering with the use of the area?
Well, I understand.
Because the catwalk is no longer there. It'll probably never be permitted again, because something like that would be against the trustees and against the environmental division of the town, putting a structure in the middle of the wetlands. So, I mean, you still could be able to row a boat, kayak over there, or do your normal, whatever you do as far as accessing the property. A duck blind isn't going to interfere with it.
I think,
It's only a temporary hunting area during the season.
I'm not a lawyer, all I know is that the posts are still here, and they are there. The grandpa walked across, my mother did, and this is how we get to the beach. So, like today, or let's say Thanksgiving Day, if it's a mild day, I'll kayak across, and that's our access to the beach. And if someone is shooting there, clearly, you made it clear that that's harassing someone, but it's also, we want to have unfettered access to our beach and through our right-of-way. I think that we're just saying.
Well, that someone would be probably someone, either yourself or someone in your family, because that would be your duck blind location.
Well, I think I understood, I read in the paper that Mr. Pell said, his quote was, if Becker does use it, we're going to give it to somebody else.
No,
And
we're
if-
not, we're...
I read, I'm not sure that, I
Yeah,
don't
but
know if you said that.
Right
That's what I
now,
read in the paper.
right now, we're trying to get through the process to allow Mr. Robinson to have his duck blind spot back and to facilitate a duck blind spot for you through the landowner preference. And that's
I'm
what...
listening, this is all new to me, you know,
Okay.
because I tried to been to all the meetings except the first one on the 5th of September, where people attacked my family, and I'm glad I didn't go to that. But I'm just trying to say, I've never heard of this spot in front of, I know my neighbors, I know Tim Davis, I know my neighbors.
You want to hunt, you want to go hunting. That's what I might understand is you
That's
want to go
why
hunting.
I got my license.
Right.
I'm gonna hunt, and the proposal that I sent to you folks was directly in front of my home, which, if you come to my home, I'll show you, and you can see, if you go straight out, that's the spot. And then your people said, no, we want you to have the old spot, and that was your choice. My spot was directly in front of my home, that wouldn't interfere with
But
anybody.
there was an appeal after that discussion. There was an appeal, and the process for the appeal is set forth in the Blue Book, I believe,
Section 38D2.
okay?
I'm not a
was
lawyer.
Okay, we're trying to
But you have counsel.
Yeah, you do have counsel. I get it.
Thank you, Martha, I know that.
I get it. We're trying to manage our underwater lands. That's what we're trying to do. My understanding was that you wanted to go hunting in the tradition of your family, and you wanted to
Yeah.
get going by Thanksgiving,
Sure.
okay?
Obviously not.
We ran through the process of how the Blue Book directs us to run through the process, and has counsel. And we're trying to find a way that you can go hunting, and you can enjoy this with your family.
I wish you guys would have called me and come over and seen it. It would have been really cool. And then you could just see how the letter I sent to you and how practical it was to be directly in front of my house. And it would have been so simple.
But you're trying to maneuver the underwater lands of the Board of Trustees.
I'm not
and
trying
only-
to maneuver, I know nothing
The
about
Board of
underwater
Trustees manages and regulates the underwater lands, and we're trying to find a way that you can go hunting, and we can comply with our Blue Book, and we can go through with the process in a safe fashion. Everybody can enjoy this resource.
I was listening to Ms. Strong, and this is where we live, and I'd like you to come. And I'd like you to see here, and I'd then like you to see this spot in reference to Cedar Crest.
Let me just go for a second. Thomas Horn, attorney for Mr. Becker. Some things here, and it was kind of interesting, it seemed to jump right on him as soon as he said something about seeing it as he did his location, that somehow that was trivialized in tone and in content by Trustee Pell here, I believe. And what he was making was a simple point, is that he didn't ask for that spot, which now you're saying, which you did a little while ago, say that he requested that spot. He didn't request that second spot. And in fact, there was no talk of a second spot until 2 Mondays ago here, when this when someone comes up and there happens to be a map up there, I don't know who put it up, but there happened to be one, and all of a sudden it's like, we discovered this one, that he wasn't offered, he wasn't asked about. They asked him which one he was. He put in the proper paperwork. It was granted. And then Trustee Horowitz tries to correct him with also a bit of a condescending tone about, we had a hearing about this. We had an appeal.
That's right.
Yeah, an appeal that wasn't called for in your regulations.
I mean,
And now you've come up with this legal fiction contrivance or bizarre interpretation of it, that somehow, when you admit that it's silent on it, and that's your interpretation that it's silent on it, it just, you guys you gave them appeal, when an appeal had to do with a revocation for wrongdoing, because it's under the section for wrongdoing. So then you, by your own declaration, say, oh, we're going to say this applies. But there was nobody applying it until this thing came out and said, this is what we're going to apply. So you take it like somehow he's doing something wrong, because from the get-go, the tone of this board as overall has been one of doubt, of one of his sincerity about what he wants to do or what he can do. And so at the last moment, after this performance that I saw here where someone stands up from the audience and says, hey, what about this second one? And Trustee Pell goes, oh yeah, we were just looking at that one. We were just looking at that one. How come it never came up in this discussion? And how come this entire explanation of his determination was never discussed by this board publicly? So how is he supposed to know, or I'm supposed to know, what thinking went into this? Because when you discussed it at your work session, you didn't discuss any of the rationale before it. You polled the board, and the board essentially was saying, we want Mr. Robinson to have his back. And it reminds me of the judges that decide who's right and then looks for the law to support it. And in this case, you didn't have the law, so you said, oh, we're going to apply this law. And that's just unfair to say that you put him through the hoops of applying for it, he did it, he got it, he did everything that was right, and you just say, well, it's void. And somehow what he did, and your whole point about what he said from the beginning was, I want to hunt, and you said, oh, you're going to. But instead, there's not even the location of this done by GS. Doesn't exist anywhere. But you're saying, well, it does exist because 2 years ago someone proposed it. It didn't exist then. There was no GIS locations for it.
What? No, I'm not following this.
Well, does this exist or not, the second one? If it does exist, where is it? The X doesn't show it because the X is the only way you think it's going to go, because you don't have any GIS numbers here that establish it. There's no permit. Nobody else has applied for it this year.
This X isn't even in the water. This is in the middle of the marsh.
Yeah.
Can I make a point as well? I'm sorry, excuse me.
Let me just look it up.
So this X isn't even in the marsh. It isn't even, it's in the middle of the marsh. It's not in the water. That would be doing damage to the wetlands.
Well, normally you'd put the blind right on the edge of the marsh. That's the way lines are placed.
It's Christopherson's application.
Then that wouldn't be on my land, sir.
This is it, right?
That's the one that we denied
Yes.
for being too close to the one that Trustee Pell and the Bay
And
Constables
in that area got tweaked.
Yes.
found
Yeah, this is the
back in September.
this is the application for Mr. Christopherson, which we denied because we were reviewing Mr. Robinson's appeal and Mr. Becker's application.
Excuse me, you lost me in September?
Well,
I already had my permit in the middle of August.
Did it specifically say where your duck blind was?
Yes.
GPS coordinates?
Yes. I went it, yes, from your office, yes.
There's no GPS coordinates.
But they,
No.
not you,
For that one.
they sent me, you have it in your file, they sent me a map back, because
This,
I have,
has gotten really off topic
I don't have
about whether or
something
not
like
you
this.
had something
You
to
sent me-
say about
You sent me my
this
map back
determination.
with two locations.
So I think at
and
this
your
point,
office
the
sent me
trustees
back
can
and
decide
circled
whether or
where
not they
I,
want to take a vote.
your office circled something, mine is much bigger than this, mine is a full survey, and it said directly in front of my house, and your
My-
office circled
my
the
office,
old, your office, and we have it from your office.
Now we're having a second public
And
hearing.
it says this, the trustees selected for me to go at the old blind spot. It was from your office, and we have it in our files. And you sent it to me in August, and then I came in and I signed documents that were notarized. Your office sent it back where I'm supposed to be. And it wasn't something this small. It was a full survey done by Squires and Holden. And I have a copy here, but
Yeah, but to my knowledge, after that, there was an appeal that came in after that.
That's
And then
right.
we had to
We
put the
held an
whole
appeal.
hold on the
I
whole
have-
process on
you
hold,
sent me
to my
my
knowledge.
permit, I came into your offices, I signed all the notary documents.
Right.
They have everything from me, from your office, and everything. They kept calling, "Come in, Mr. Becker, this is the spot we want you to be." They circled it, they put a sticky on it and an arrow
Can I
from your
please have that?
offices.
You
Those
need to
papers back?
pass it back. But then apparently, there was an appeal made under whatever
Okay.
section of the Blue Book. The process went on hold to try and find a way to get both of you to be able to have
Hunting
a
spot.
hunting spot so that you both can go hunting. That's what the intent was.
The appeal that you granted him, I'm not saying you granted the appeal.
We're
You
trying to
granted
take a
him the
vote on it.
process. It's not called for in your regulation.
It is called for in our
It's
regulations.
under the part as if it were a punishment. It can be revoked. He can appeal
It says
that.
any termination.
And this was not, all this was he gets it because he has the priority to it. It wasn't like, you're saying to me that these permits go on forever?
What do you
I
mean
don't
by that? What do you mean by
understand
that?
your
What is the
question.
question?
Well, the idea is that the section that says that he's entitled to an appeal does not apply. It's strictly about, if you read it, it doesn't read as if in every single case that everybody's entitled to an appeal no matter what happens to it. This one is an administrative procedure. He had priority.
That is
You
your.
granted it to him.
That is your interpretation of the law, but the determination that's before the board today is supported by the Blue Book.
Well, go to the section of the appeal if you don't mind. If you don't want to, then we'll talk about it some other day.
Section 38D2, which is the section that we held the public hearing, says, "An appeal from revocation of a waterfowl hunting permit may be taken by the permit holder to the Board of Trustees by written request made within 30 days from the date of such revocation. The trustee shall hold a public hearing on such appeal within 30 days after receipt of written notice on such appeal, and after such hearing shall make a decision either sustaining such revocation, permit revocation, or reinstating such permit within 30 days after the close of such public hearing." His permit was revoked
Why?
because your client exercised the homeowner provision. Sir, we are not taking in more information. The
Yeah.
public hearing record is closed.
Get my
This
stuff.
is a vote.
We have a motion by trustee Pell on the
Hang
floor.
on, can I just say, you was talking about it, you had Mr. Christopherson or something, a hunter came to me and said he came for this additional second blind in Davis Creek 3 years ago. He met with you people, and you denied that application. And this hunter is available to talk with you in private, because he said, no one understands out of nowhere why a second duck blind just suddenly develops.
That I do not know. I personally did not meet with someone for a second duck blind. So, unless you're saying something that isn't true.
Oh, absolutely
To
not,
me.
you know him very
To
well.
me, it isn't.
You know him, all I know is, it's such, we never heard anything about a second duck blind until 2 Mondays ago. Is that correct? As far as the public hearing,
It was discussed at the public hearing
Yes.
for the first time?
because
And
that was
only
the
time.
hearing on the revocation.
No, that started on the 14th of September. It was originally supposed to be 30 days from the date of, 30 days from the date of the person's appeal, and that should have been, and it wasn't 30 days, it was 61 days after. All I know is, when you want to know something, people can provide information, but we don't know anything about what's going on. And I'll be happy to provide you with the information that your office told us where to go, and they didn't want it in front of my house, and it wasn't 350 feet east of me in front of Cedar Crest. It was at the old duck blind from your office. This is exactly what you told me.
You granted a specific location, not a spot on a list.
Correct.
Did it have GPS coordinates?
I presume you did, since you guys gave him the choice of where it was. And since it was, they told him where the previous permit holder had been, I presume you have GPS coordinates for that one.
I don't know if we do.
Please check your records, because your officers gave me the spot. They said you can, because there were two spots directly in front of my home, directly straight out from my home, and the other one, and they circled it with an arrow and a sticky and said, no, this is where the trustees decided for you to put your blind.
All right,
This is your letter to me, and my permit.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bill, it's your lead, so.
So do me a favor, please just don't say, I have requested a spot to be directly in front of Cedar Crest. That was, you have the records, it was never done.
Thank you. I'd like to take a vote on this resolution on 2018-277. The determination of appeal of Williams Robinson Challenge revocation of waterfowl hunting location permit 2004.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, aye.
No, I'm not. What we were trying to do was compromise. And I feel as if we were attempting to act in the best case scenario for all. I understand the concerns of safety. They have been my concerns from the get-go. But I also understand the tradition of hunting and having had a blind for many years in one location. I wish that there could have been a compromise here that was agreeable to all, and I regret that there is not.
President Warner, would you like me to call the roll?
Wait 1 minute. Being a hunter, years ago, I don't care where you went, you knew your neighbors, you knew your friends, everybody worked it out. I mean, you could be hunting a duck blind one day, you could be hunting in the field the next day. Everybody got along. There's so much dissension over this. We rely on the Bay Constables to approve, disapprove anything. We just set up a new spot out in Bridgehampton. I went and looked at it, it's fine. Bay Constables approved it. We got to have faith in them. And GPS, of course we want GPS eventually, but if the Bay Constables go there, they deem it safe. There are eyes and ears for the field. And as far as kayaking, boating, fishing, hunting, everybody's just got to get along. It's a resource we all got. They left it to us to take care of and to use. These guys, they ain't got to shoot the wrong thing. They identify what they're going to shoot, or 99% of them. Maybe there's one bad apple somewhere here and there. But you used to be able to see a guy, okay, can I go hunting with you today? No problem. It just seems like it's going, I don't know, going down the tubes. And I feel sorry for you, Mr. Becker, if this did occur. But I don't see it. And they tried to work out a second spot for you, and there's nothing but dissension.
Sir, I appreciate what you're saying.
We need to take a vote.
All right, we need to.
We need to take a vote.
We need to take a vote.
If not, I think, you know, I thought there was a motion on the floor.
There was a
Mo-
motion,
there's a-
and we're ready to
They're ready, yeah.
Trustees,
call the vote.
you never gave me the opportunity to.
I asked this
Mr.
to
Becker.
be stricken from the record.
Can we be quiet? We're going to make a vote, have a vote.
We have a motion and a second, and would you like me to call the roll?
Yes, please.
Trustee Stafford?
Yes.
Trustee Welker?
No.
Trustee Pell?
Yes.
President Warner?
Yes,
Secretary Treasurer Horowitz?
Yes.
The motion passes 4-1.
thank you.
Trustee Resolution 2018-278, deny waterfowl hunting location application for Stanley Ambrosius at Sebonic Creek, North Sea. I approve this denial.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So 2018-278 is denied.
Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Resolution 2018-279, deny waterfowl hunting location application for Station Ambrose North Sea Channel of Rams Island, Sabana Complex, North Sea. I approve of this motion to be denied.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So it's denied.
Denied. Trustee Resolution 2018-280, denial of waterfowl location application of Crystal Axel Christopher, Davis Creek, North Sea. I approve of this as being denied.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. I have a renewal application, Property Owners Association, Noack Harbor Incorporated, permit number DRE 00010, dredging of Noack Creek, Suffolk County Tax Map 0900-1-2-34, body of water, Noack Creek. This is the first renewal. We went over this at work session. I'd like to make a motion this goes through.
Second.
1 second, there will be shellfish planting in the vicinity, not in the direct vicinity, but along the channel edges, and also they're going to do a grass restoration on the beach, correct? Next
Yes,
spring?
they are.
All right,
Yes.
so I'm good with that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I got an application of Raina Schoenbeck, 531 Sabonic Road, Sagaponack, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map 0908-3-2-6.1, body of water, Sagaponack Pond. This is a common reed management permit. They've already got a conservation permit. I'd like to make this go through.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
I got an application of Edward J. Warner Jr. and James V. Warner, 31 Canoe Place Road, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map 0900-266-4-3.1, body of water, Shinnecock Canal. This is the first renewal. I'll make a motion this goes through.
Second.
I'm recusing myself.
Aye.
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 Just a correction, it's Shinnecock Bay, not Shinnecock Canal. It says it properly in the resolution.
I just said Shinnecock.
Oh,
Thank you.
Trustee Resolution 2018-284, warrant 21 of 2018 for the sum of $4,072.91. Could you please read?
I'm sorry, I don't have my laptop with me. I will
Okay.
have to get the board that information. I can forward it when we
Okay.
get back to my desk.
All right.
I apologize to the board.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, sorry.
Trustee Resolution, oh, we already did this one, so
No, you have to adopt.
we adopted it.
Yeah, they did?
Yeah. When they closed the public hearing,
Yeah, we
they called the vote.
Sanctuary, so it's been adopted.
Okay, I don't have a second. You know who the second was?
You got that?
Does anyone remember who seconded the notice of adoption?
Ed did.
Ed? Well, Ed brought it forward.
Might have been
I
myself.
brought it forward.
Might have been
You
me.
brought it forward, Bill?
Well, then-
And Ed was the
I
second?
think I seconded it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe I said.
Bill, you brought it forward, though?
Yes.
Okay. Scott, you seconded?
Believe so.
Okay, thank you. I'm
Pretty much
sorry.
tape. It's not correct.
It's all right. It went through unanimously anyway, right?
I didn't.
It was
okay.
unanimous vote.
Am I missing?
Okay, sorry.
I got trustee resolution 2018-286.
Yeah, I think there's a no 85. We did 85.
Set a
yeah,
public
okay.
hearing for December 3rd, at 1 o'clock, for the trustees' tentative budget.
Second on that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2018-287, notice of public hearing to amend Article 7, Section 54, catwalks and elevated walkways.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Actually, a couple of the consultants are coming forward to help us now.
Good.
Let Ed know today.
Yes. All right, thank you, Bill. And does anybody else have anything to bring forward to the board?
Yeah, one thing, we were able to open SAG today and it's raining properly.
and Mecox
Is next. We don't have a permit for Mecox yet. We're in the process of trying to get one.
Quick exam.
So soon.
That's what I thought.
Hopefully.
James, do you know how many times we've opened up SAG this year?
I don't have that on
Can you check on it to see where we are as far as historically opening it, how many times? So I'm just trying to get some kind of preliminary budget together so I can send it out to the Village of Sagaponack because they're interested in supporting our a SAG pond management plan, similar to what we're trying to get done in the Mecox management plan. Thanks, James.
Doug Halsey reached out, and he wants to set up a meeting, and I told him sometime, maybe December, January, and we'll get all parties together and hash it out.
Probably, I'd like to see it done probably just right after the, hopefully Mecox management plan will get adopted and put on the shelf, and then we could look towards the next one, so I think it's important on that area too. So if no one else has anything, I'd like to close.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn and go into executive session for the purpose of discussing litigation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. You got it,
Trustee,
thanks.
President Warner, do a motion to go back into open session?
Motion to go back into open session.
Okay, and it is
Second.
2:43 PM.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
We're reopening up the meeting to notice the public hearing for comments on the draft management plan for Mecox Bay dated September 2018. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees, the freeholders of commonality of the town of Southampton, hereby directs the public hearing shall be held on December 3rd, 2018 at 1 o'clock at town of Southampton, 116 Hampton Road, Southampton, New York, to hear any and all persons with respect to the draft management plan for Mecox Bay dated September 18, and further it resolved that the following notice of public hearing shall be immediately submitted to the publication of official newspapers of the trustees and to post the same on the official trustees signboard.
Okay, so we need a motion to walk on doc ID 30542, please.
Motion to walk on.
I'll second.
All in favor?
And on the underlying resolution?
Motion to set a public hearing for December 3rd at 2018 at 1 PM.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
I just want to make sure it's clear that a copy of the draft management plan can be purchased for $3 in Town Hall, or
That's
it's
on
also
CD-ROM.
available on.
It's on the trustees' website. The link also is on the trustees' website.
Thank you. So that it's readily available for all.
Yep.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Martha.
You're welcome.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to
Thanksgiving.
adjourn. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.